Hello, Pat. Obviously, your team and yourself enjoyed unprecedented success for Manchester City last season.
That's Gundogan! Manchester City win the FA Cup.
How energised do you feel about going again and trying to do it all over again?
We climbed the highest mountain last season. What we have done, our football, our behaviours, our mentality will dictate how the season will be.
This is hit with great venom. Grealish! Rodri is there and Doku keeps going!
We are so satisfied, so proud, but at the same time, Huddersfield next.
The FA Cup is something very special.
The history speaks for itself.
The FA Cup holders begin the defence of their trophy.
Welcome to Matchday Live. Here we are at the Ilkay Gundogan mosaic at the CFA. He's got a pitch behind him named after him. My name's FG and I'm with Big Steve. It's FA Cup weekend and where better to start than Wembley. 12 seconds in, the man whose mosaic we are in front of scored the goal. What a great day that was, the FA Cup final.
Fantastic, wasn't it? Derby day, FA Cup final. And like you say, we didn't even have time to take our seats and Ilkay Gundogan let one go and that was it. 12 seconds in. The rest is history. The rest is history indeed. It was a double for Gundogan that day, and today we face Huddersfield in the third round of the FA Cup. Let's talk about previous memories of the FA Cup. There are some special memories for City fans all around. I mean, one that stands out for me is Yaya Toure at Wembley, of course, against Stoke, and there was a semi-final as well. What's been your best FA Cup memory so far? Probably agree with you, the Yaya Toure one. I mean, it was just about that time where we were getting towards needing to win a trophy, and you could almost sense it, and Manchester United semi-final, the nerves. I remember the nerves so well. And Yaya Toure stepped up and he delivered. And like you say, that goal go down in history, and it sent us on our way. And the trophies that followed, I think it all began with that semi-final. We just had to win that game.
We did indeed, and we did. The magic of the FA Cup still exists for City fans, doesn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I love it. I was saying before, my early memories of the FA Cup was always giant killers like Notts County beating Man City and Cardiff beating Man City. But over the last few years, the FA Cup, it's magical, and to come here, to be the holders of the FA Cup on the back of a treble season, especially with this man, what he did last year, no, it's fantastic. And I think seeing all the young kids coming towards the ground today, still got the magic.
There is an absolute buzz around the Etihad, and we will be there. We're going to head back over there. We've got some special guests to interview, and we're going to be walking around everywhere. But we've got a new host in the studio for Matchday Live today, and that is Ellard. So hello, Ellen. She's with some very special guests. Let's head over there.
Well, thank you, FG. Hello, welcome to Matchday Live. The FA Cup for Manchester City starts here. The holders in action against Huddersfield Town. I'm Ellard. I'm joined by two very special guests indeed. Manchester City legends, Andy Morrison and Paul Dickov. Gents, lovely to see you. The magic of the FA Cup is still very, very real.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've all played in it, all played our part, scored goals. And, you know, as youngsters, it was something, it was one of the biggest days of the year. And always got spoilt and, you know, and always dreamed of one day walking up the steps at Wembley, picking up the FA Cup. Never happened.
You did pick up one trophy walking up the steps.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the main thing.
We are going to dive straight in and take a look at the team news today. Pep picking his squad, and it is an interesting one as well, quite a strong one. Stefan Ortega starts in goal. We have Manuel Akanji. Ruben Dias is our captain today. Josko Guardiola, Sergio Gomez, Rico Lewis, Mateo Kovacic, Oscar Bob, Phil Foden, Jack Grealish and Julian Alvarez. And then the substitutes, Edison, Kyle Walker, Ake, Jeremy Doku back in the matchday squad. That's a talking point for sure. Rodri, KDB on the bench. Nunes and Jacob Wright, a name that might be new for some people. First time in the matchday squad, just 18 years old, and Micah Hamilton, two names that we'll talk about, I'm sure, in a couple of minutes. But initial reaction, Andy, to that lineup?
Yeah, strong. You know, me and Paul were speaking earlier on. You know, there's an established squad now, and any player has the right to start in any game, and every player that's in that team today, you know, is there on merit. So it's strong. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what shape formation they go with, because we're trying to second guess who'll be the second pivot in midfield. But you know, yeah, it's really strong.
Yeah, I think we sit here and every match day live. We see the team, and we've all got our own opinion about who's going to play where, and it changes it every day. But looking at it there, and quite excited to see Guardiola playing in centre half if he does. You know, we know primarily that's his position, but he's played a lot at left back. So seeing him in there alongside Ruben Diaz will be good, and delighted for Oscar Bob. You know, and he's had an impact every time he's been in the pitch. You know, and over in Belgrade. Last game here when he came on and set up the goal. So he looks a real talent. It was interesting. A few weeks ago, Pep was saying about the younger players, and Oscar Bob was saying, no, he's not. He's part of my squad now. He's in there, and so great opportunity for him today. And obviously the young lads on the bench as well. It just shows you the academy over the years is really bearing its fruit now.
Absolutely. I think this is one of the things where I think City fans look at the magic of the FA Cup. We have such a strong development system, the EDS. We look at Phil Foden coming through, obviously Cole Palmer now off to Chelsea. But then on the bench as well, Jacob Wright, Micah Hamilton, 2 stars that obviously the first time in the matchday squad for Jacob, but Micah we've seen thrive in the Champions League as well. And it's just an extra thing for City fans to get excited about, you know, seeing our stars of the future out there in an FA Cup game.
Yeah, 100%. And it's you're coming to the most successful club domestically in Europe for a long period of time, and you know the opportunity and the pathway for players. You know, you're trying to sell that to youngsters, whether they're coming at 8, 9, 10. You will get an opportunity, and what we're seeing with Phil, Rico, obviously Cole, that it is there. It's not just lip service. They're getting opportunities, and when they get in, they're showing that the development, the coaching has put them in a position where you know they're more than equipped to go and play and go on and definitely warrant their place in the squad.
Andy's bang on, you know, and obviously Micah Hamilton and Oscar Bob starting out in Belgrade. You know, we spoke to Brian Barry Murphy, the academy manager, afterwards, and he says what that does, Pep bringing them into the squad, all the rest of the players in the squad, it gives them something to aim for now. You know, sometimes you can be in an academy and a youth team, I think we've both been there ourselves, and you don't see any way at all into the first team. I think the fact that these players are getting dripped in and out and getting minutes and being in the bench and being involved in the squad, it gives the whole academy the boost from top to bottom.
Exactly. You know, you mentioned Rico Lewis. He's someone that Pep absolutely lamented about last year, and now we're seeing the same kind of language used around Oscar Bob, which is something for everyone to get excited about. But particularly, you know, if you're one of his teammates in the EDS or you've grown up through the EDS with him, you could be like, well, next year that's going to be me.
And as we spoke to a few of the young lads, and they were saying they were delighted for Micah to be called up, and at the time they didn't know whether they were starting or not, but obviously he's went and started. But they said as much as they were delighted for them, it's made them want to kick on. They're happy for them, yeah, but they want to go ahead and take their place as well. So it gives you that, as much as the feel-good factor about it, it's healthy competition for places to go and do it.
Completely. So we've spoken about the young talent. Got to give a mention to KDB on the bench. Pep spoke in the press conference about whether he would start. There was that question, not starting today but back, and been out since the first game of the season with that hamstring injury, and it seemed like Pep said the focus has to be on making sure that doesn't happen again. What do you make of Kevin starting on the bench today? Do you think we'll see much of him?
I'm not sure. I think the manager will have a plan in place. I think he'll be looking at whether we're just watching a couple of finishes there, and oh God, we've missed him. You're going to miss players, who are world class, and what he actually brings to this team when he plays. He's a unique talent. He changes the tempo of the game. He's the one player who will try more than anybody else to find the special moment. There's a structure in the way City play. People think there's a freedom, but everything is disciplined and structured. But within that, it's building the opportunity for a moment of magic. And De Bruyne delivers it more than any other player. I think if you look at the moment that Oscar Bob in the last previous game, where he thread the ball through sort of 4 players, and the weight of the pass and the timing of the pass, and it was a fantastic moment. That's what De Bruyne does, but he does that 4, 5, 6 times in a game. Hence, when he plays, we do get these 4, 5, 6, 7-0 games, because he is that good with what he creates. And it's not just the ability to be able to produce it; it's seeing it before. And he sees things so early, and also magnificent technique to be able to manoeuvre the ball the way he does. So he's certainly been missed, and I'm so looking forward to seeing him again, because I really, I think as you get older, you appreciate the qualities, and he is uniquely talented.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah,
he is for me. Not just in this squad in the Premier League in Europe. He's the best in the world at what he does. And he's bang on. He he can change a game like that.
Yeah.
And it's not just him on the pitch, it's what he gives to the other players, knowing that he's there. You know, when games are tight or we might be struggling to break down teams, sometimes the lads can get a little bit disheartened, but when Kevin's on the pitch, you don't see that.
But what he will do, he'll upset the manager a little bit more than any other player, because he wants to score. He doesn't just want to keep the ball. He wants to produce every time he gets the ball, and sometimes you'll see him, he'll go safe, or he'll move the ball square to make himself available again, and you know he wants to go forward. And I think for somebody, you know, you've got the chemistry with him and Haaland. I think for Haaland, knowing that if I make the move and the ball's at his feet, he will find me. And, you know, listen, there's nothing we can say that's not been said about De Bruyne. And I think it's not just, you know, it's not just a City thing or even a Premier League. It's now a global thing. You know, it's a global opinion of just how talented and how special a player he is.
And we said a few months ago that obviously Kevin been missing, and obviously a little bit up and down with the form and everything else. And in my head, I just thought, if we can be in touching distance by the time Kevin comes back, whether that's 5 points as it is by a game in hand, 2 points, even 6, 7 points, and we get Kevin from January through to the end of the season, I genuinely believe we'll win the league. He's that good and that important to us.
I love that you mentioned the synchrony between him and Haaland. It's something that clicked instantly when Haaland came in, and something I'm certain they'll get back to straight away. I know Pep was asked about what kind of condition Kevin's going to come back in. We saw shots of him out, you know, while he's been away, and actually having that break to relax. You know, he'd had to play a lot of football in the run-up to the injury, and coming back, not just, you know, back from the injury, you know, recovered, but also mentally fresh might be something that could come in really handy when we've had that relentless, obviously, Christmas period and now the run into the end of the year.
It's a great point, because I spoke to Kevin briefly a few weeks ago, and he was talking about, I think it's the first time in 9 years that he's had a break. You know, rather than... Because competition-wise, City always go to the very last game, more or less, every season. And then there's a Nations League, and then there's the Euros, then there's the World Cup. And he actually said that he's not happy with the injury, but it has given him time, not just physically, but mentally, now to focus for the rest of the season. And to have a fit and firing Kevin De Bruyne fresh for the last 4.5 months of the season, it's going to be quite scary for everybody.
The cliche all the time, new signing, but he will feel like that.
It will do, and also for Kevin, he'll have the wisdom now of missing 6 months and knowing how much he loves football and how much he values it. And it's only them times when you're away from the game. I don't know, Paul, I suffered with some long-term injuries, and you know, you get down, you have tough times, but what you do is you appreciate how much you love football and how much you want to get back on that pitch, and all the little things that bothered you, like you realise that, you know, I just want to get on that football pitch. And obviously the break, has already been said, will be a huge part, mentally more than physically, because they are incredible physical specimens, modern day footballers, and the sports science that they have, but to actually step away from it for a period of time and just switch off completely from football I think you know, time will tell, but I think in time Kevin De Bruyne will say that the break was beneficial. And
there's every chance we might see the best of him because of it.
Yeah,
absolutely. And an incredible player, and one, of course, who I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, assisted both the goals in the FA Cup final last season. So we've had the guys in his reaction to the team. We can now head over to West Reception, where FG and Big Steve are to give their reaction to today's team news.
Making their way into the building.
Welcome outside the West Reception as the Manchester City players come off the bus. We've just seen the team news and we're very, very excited, aren't we, Steve?
Super excited. He's gone with a strong team. A couple of young lads in there as well. Yeah, really excited now.
A couple of young lads indeed. And we want to talk about one man, Oscar Bob. What a player. And Rico there, and Diaz coming off the bus. You can see all of the players behind us, Nathan Ake as well. Let's talk about the young lads then. It's a great opportunity for them today, isn't it?
Yeah, Oscar Bob has been really impressive last few weeks. So for him to get a start in the FA Cup, surely he's got to show Pep what he can do.
And now Phil Foden, we say he's one of our own. Just on cue, there you go. He is very much a leader in this side now, isn't he? He's more than just the young Phil we know. He's maturing really well and he's doing really, really well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's playing absolutely fantastic. To see him in the central of midfield at the minute, the way he's playing is fantastic, and today he's got to lead by example.
There he is, the man, Kevin De Bruyne, new hair, new tracksuit, ready to go. Hopefully we're going to see him today, aren't we?
Yeah, the reception he got last game when he was warming up was unbelievable, and the reception he got today there, fantastic. Hopefully today, this could be the start of Kevin De Bruyne's season.
Well, one thing we will say is you probably might not even be able to hear us because the atmosphere around the rest reception is absolutely incredible. We'll come this way and we'll just have a look at the amount of City fans who have come out to have a look at the players. What a time to be a City fan, eh, Lummy?
It's fantastic, mate. It's absolutely fantastic. And the atmosphere here, everyone is going mad. As soon as De Bruyne got off the coach then, you can feel the atmosphere. It's unbelievable.
Now, when it's FA Cup weekend and people question the magic of the FA Cup, we're so lucky that we have such a great squad. We've got the likes of Sergio Gomez, who we haven't spoken about, who's not really played as much, but he's looked sharp when he's come on, hasn't he, this season?
Yeah, it's a chance for the players that are on the fringe of the squad to go out there and show Pep what they can do, you know what I mean? To get into this Manchester City team is so hard. And to see these young lads from the academy on the bench and in and around the first team, it's games like this today where they can put a marker down and show the management that they belong in this squad.
Well, the atmosphere out here, if it's anything to judge by, we are in for a special afternoon at the Etihad. Let's head back to the studio. We're going to go and soak in the atmosphere, aren't we?
Let's go.
Yeah, the atmosphere looking great outside. I was at the ground really early and you could see all the kids streaming over to the kids fan zone. The FA Cup always brings a bit of magic. It's always a brilliant family day out as well. Obviously the thoughts there of Big Steve and FG. Want to hear your thoughts as well. WhatsApp us, the number is at the bottom of your screen, and make sure you head over to the Man City app for commentary from the lovely Ali Mann and Richard Dunn of the game. So let's take a quick look at our opposition team news for today. Huddersfield Town. So in goal we have Nichols, Edmonds-Green, Hellick, Rudoni, Karoma, Thomas, Spencer, Mattis, Wiles, Jackson and Lees. The two that I want to highlight from there, Michael Hellick, actually their lead scorer this season, 7 goals. He's the captain today, also a centre-back. I think that just shows how much Huddersfield Town, obviously, Andy, one of your former clubs, they've been struggling in the league. They're just above the drop zone. Sheffield Wednesday gathering momentum, obviously Dan Moore's old team gathering momentum behind them. I think it's going to be a tricky end to the season for them. If your top scorer is a centre-back and you're coming to the Etihad, you're coming to the holders, and your front line isn't firing properly, you're going to be a little bit worried.
You're talking to a goal-scoring centre-half.
In my preparation for the game, you've just stole my little bit of analysis on Hellick, who is a danger on set plays. He scored last week against Leicester. Major threats on corners. How many they're going to get today? How many times they'll enter the attacking third? You know, to actually use his quality aerially, I'm not sure. But no, it's going to. You know, we looked at the previous game, the Leicester game, on New Year's Day, and Leicester had 75% possession, 20 shots on goal, scored 4, dominated the game. You know, the expected goals was huge and good. So it's going to be a tough ask. And we've already spoken about it. Let's come here, enjoy it. Hope when they were last night, they should be hoping that De Bruyne is playing. I want to go and test myself against these players and go and find out how good I am in comparison to them. And then further down the line, when you're older and you're speaking with your son or your grandson, I played against Kevin De Bruyne. So you want to play in these games. So it's a great opportunity for them to go and just show how talented they are.
That's what the FA Cup's all about, isn't it? Paul, we spoke there about the challenges of, when your front line isn't firing, then coming into a game against the reigning European champions, the Premier League champions, treble holders, current holders of the FA Cup, how much of a challenge that is. But they do have a boost. A new signing, Alex Matos, starts today, just signed on loan from Chelsea, midfielder, winger. He's got experience pushing forward. That'll be a big boost to them, won't it?
Well, it'll be great for him. He's very highly thought of down at Chelsea. They want him to get experience of playing at a high level, and the Championship is a top level. But he'll want to come here and show everybody and show Chelsea's parent club how good he is. Obviously TV cameras are here and everything else, so it's a big day for him. But it could be a tough day for him. I don't want to say too much. Making your debut away against the world champions and a team that doesn't really create or score a lot of goals. But I'm pretty sure he'll do well for them.
Yeah, last time Huddersfield won the FA Cup, the only time, back in 1922. that's hard as well, isn't it? You know, when we look at the trophy cabinet, we saw it the other day, City coming into the Etihad, and outside you have all the trophies that have been won. I think it was spoken about in the match, you know, where we had them all lined up on pitch side. How much of a challenge is that, and how intimidating that is for teams coming here to the fortress that now is the Etihad?
Yeah, I think it's also, I mean, they're watching statistically every game that City play, them players. You know, you're watching the best team in world football, and rightly the champions in world football. And, you know, when you're seeing how other teams are struggling, you know, Sheffield United in the last game, you know, there was 82% possession, and they just sat in. And, you know, as a player, you're watching that because you know you're going to be playing City, and you're thinking, how are we going to be able to affect this game? And, you know, they're going to have to be incredibly honest, and they're going to have to work incredibly hard, and run harder and faster than they've ever run. What City do is they're relentless in their nature, waiting for, I mean, the shape that they went with is very similar to what Sheffield United did last week, and they'll be the same today. But whether they've got that ability to stay focused and concentrate for longer periods like Sheffield United did, I'm not so sure, because they won't be used to anything like what will happen today in the continual movement from left to right, right to left, back through the thirds, and just they're literally pivoting continually for 90 minutes, and whether they can do that will be tough.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for them, and you know the first thing that goes when tiredness does kick in is your concentration levels as well.
Especially against City.
Yeah, so I mean, I think you said they played 5 at the back down at Leicester.
Yeah.
Probably imagine the same again today, try to defend deep, but the pressure, as Andy's just said, and how we recycle the ball, how we keep the ball, how we move teams around, it's going to be something that I've never faced before. But I'm pretty sure Darren Moore, the manager, you know, me and Andy both know him well, will probably be looking at this as not a free hit, but go out there and enjoy it, because their main focus has got to be staying in the Championship. But days like today, even if they get a decent performance out of it, can elevate you on and give you the confidence for the rest of the season. That
was going to be my next question. Happy for either of you to take it. Tell us about Darren Moore. He's someone who is so widely acclaimed as a manager. A lot of people say one of the nicest managers, nicest guys in football. We can see one of his goals. This was back in the 2002-2003 season.
That wouldn't have happened if you were playing back.
I was going to say, scored at Main Road. Scrappy goal in it, that one.
Darren started at Torquay, and I was at Plymouth. We were both apprentices, so we kind of knew a lot of each other. We saw each other in local competitions. What I always liked was Darren was actually bigger than me, so it was not many.
I don't know.
Oh, well, there wasn't many that were actually, you know, physically bigger and stronger, and Darren was certainly one of them, and had a fantastic career as well.
Yeah, great career. Played against him a lot. Hard man on the pitch. You had to run about 10 yards to get round him because he was just physically that big. But off the pitch, just a really good guy, very quiet, calm, lovely nature about him. And I'm pleased that he's got back in. You know, he done an unbelievable job at Sheffield Wednesday. You know, getting him promoted. I think it's well publicised, the treatment that he got there. And hopefully, it's going to be tough for him that he can turn Huddersfield around like he did at Sheffield Wednesday.
You've been in this position before as the manager, facing higher opposition. What will he be saying to his players?
Well, God, looking back, and it's a while, I think it's 11 years ago now, we just took the focus off when we played Liverpool. We didn't speak about Liverpool all week. We played 5-a-sides literally every day leading up to it, because, you know, they sit and watch Match of the Day, they watch Sky, they're seeing their Steven Gerrard's, like the players will know about Kevin De Bruyne on the bench, Alvarez, World Cup winner, Foden, one of the best players around. So you don't want to overload them with information and give them too much to think about, because they know themselves. And just before kick-off, we just said, look, go out. We spoke about it before, it's the FA Cup. It can propel individuals' careers as well as teams' careers, you know, playing against a big team. There's so many players that have done it. You know, DJ Campbell, when he was non-league, then went to Brentford, scored against Chelsea, and then started getting moves. Big Matt Smith, who scored against Liverpool, my Oldham team, ended up going to Leeds and having a fantastic career. I'm not saying it's just one game, but the focus that you can get from the FA Cup as an individual and as a player can really give you a chance to propel your career and kick on again.
I think it's really interesting you mention that, because we hear it all the time, don't we, when managers or players go into press conferences, they go, we're not thinking about it, we're not thinking about it. But, you know, like you said, when you were managing Oldham, coming up against Liverpool, there's players in there, and particularly in this Huddersfield team, there is a lot of, they've got a good youth pathway, and this year, because of the situation at Huddersfield, they've had to call on a lot of those players from the B team, from the youth team, bring them up into the first team. They'll be looking and they'll be going, right, these are some of my heroes, these are World Cup winners, these are the treble winners.
Is
it something that
you
actually
don't have to tell them how good they are,
Yeah.
No.
how good the opposition is, or how good our players are, because they know themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm not so sure as well, Dickie, about the go and enjoy it. I'm not sure about going and enjoying a game where you're running around losing. Go out there and be the best version of you. Go out there, and if we're going to go down, make sure we're going down swinging punches. Make sure we're giving everything we've got on that pitch, and make sure when we come off the pitch they respect us as footballers and also as a team, a collective. And.
It's slightly different back then. I just told my Oldham team to go out and beat Liverpool up. You can't get, you can't get away with it.
Probably could.
Yeah.
No, but I mean it. I mean it in the right way. Make sure you leave an impression.
Yeah.
Don't just turn up here and before you know it, you're on the. You're going back across the Woodhead Pass.
It's no regrets, isn't it?
No, absolutely.
Get on the
absolutely.
coach knowing you've given everything you've got.
Exactly.
And don't go home thinking maybe could have given a little bit more.
Just going to ask you very quickly, that 3-2 win, best day of your managerial career?
Yeah, it was up there. It's got to be. We were struggling at Oldham, on and off the pitch, and to beat a Liverpool team that I'll never forget. All the players were chatting, staff were chatting what teams are going to put out, and you get the team sheet and you go in with Brendan, Stephen Jenner's there, and they've got Suarez, they've got Sterling, they've got Sturridge, they've got Carragher, and they all played. But we wanted that. You don't want them to come and play 11 different players. And if anything, when I went in and gave that team sheet and told the lads who were playing, it actually gave them a bit more of a boost and couldn't wait to get out there. Look, if it had been at Anfield, it would have been different. We were at Boundary Park, we had 3 stands, there was snow all the way around the pitch, it was blowing a gale, it was raining, it was everything else. So everything that day,
Proper FA Cup.
Yeah.
We are flying through the show today. We are starting our FA Cup campaign as holders here at the Etihad, and we can head back to FG. Where he's standing by for a very special surprise with 2 of City's membership holders, Greg Coop and his daughter, Georgina O'Reilly.
OK, this is my favourite part of the show. We are about to go and meet Greg and Georgina, our Citizens Matchday member winners. As we join the table, hello there. Hello, Georgina. Lovely to meet you. Lovely to meet you too. Very well. Congratulations, guys. You're our Citizens Matchday winners. First, I'll come to you because Georgina nominated you for this award. How are you feeling?
Good is she? Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed. This is so wonderful. Brilliant.
It's absolutely wonderful to meet you. You've been watching City since the 60s. Right. What are your favourite memories of Manchester City?
He doesn't look that old.
I was about to say he looks absolutely great, to be honest. What are your favourite memories of Manchester City?
Well, my first game was against Wolverhampton Wanderers, and we won 1-0. That was a Francis Lee penalty. Lee won pen back in the old days. So yeah, we were at Main Road. That would have been about 68, 69. So the heydays for us, fantastic.
So we are so grateful for your support, and I have to come to you. Some words for your dad. The nomination was absolutely amazing, and it was so simple. Let's have some lovely words for your dad then.
Isn't he just the best? Honestly, from the minute I was born to the minute now, he's just absolutely fantastic. He can't do enough for me and my brother. He's just honestly the best dad. I wouldn't be where I am today without him. And when I got married, I said that in my wedding speech. He's just... He gave me my first job, that got me my first house, my first car, everything. He's just next level. You can't do enough for people. He's the most selfless person you'll ever meet. He's absolutely incredible.
Well, we want to thank you, and of course we've got you here in Legends, enjoying the food, etc. But we can't let you just come here without giving you a little gift from everybody at Manchester City. We have a couple of gifts for you, so if you'd like to open up the boxes, that's for you as well, Georgina.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
I mean, there's something a little bit special about the shirt as well. If you want to take the shirt out, that is a signed shirt with a certificate of authenticity. You've got a blue one and an away one.
Thank you very much indeed. That's brilliant. Thank you so much.
I'm looking forward to the game today.
Yeah, I am actually. I think it's going to be a tight game, to be honest. I think they're going to turn up, so we need to be on our guard and turn up ourselves and really get stuck into them. Yeah.
Well, this is what Manchester City is all about, by the way. Daughter and father, have a great day. Thank you so much for supporting us for so long, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening.
Say hello to my little boys that are outside, that are gutted they're not in here. They're going, oh, Mummy, don't. So hello to William and Charlie.
William and Charlie, we'll try very hard to get you in the future. Well, shout out to him as well. Let's hold up your shirts to the camera, and there you are, our Citizen Matchday winners with their signed shirts.
William and Charlie are going to be absolutely gutted, aren't they? They've got Grandad there with a signed shirt, and Mum as well. I hope they've had an absolutely brilliant day, and we hope they enjoy the game. the Etihad filling up behind us nicely. You can hear it, the atmosphere really building. The Huddersfield Town players are out already. We've got to take a look back at last season's FA Cup campaign. We saw the hype video right at the start. So it gave me goosebumps a bit looking back at that all. It was a challenging start to the campaign, and also, you know, just throughout it as well, we end up beating Chelsea, Arsenal, Bristol City, Burnley and Sheffield United, only conceding 1 goal in the process. Had to beat 3 of the best teams, really, to lift the FA Cup, all teams who have thrived in the competition in the past. Let's start with that Chelsea game and what was a Mahrez masterclass.
That Riyadh always stood up in the big moments, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And it was a tough game, this, you know, because Chelsea were hitting a bit of form as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic goal to get it, and that set us on for what was, as you said there, you know, the teams we played, we didn't do it the easy way. You know, we played a lot of top teams, which you've got to beat on the way there. The Arsenal game was a big one for me as well, you know, and beating them because what was happening in the league as well sent a bit of a statement out to everybody, I think, and especially Arsenal. And I know it was in the Premier League and it was FA Cup, but I think that went a long way mentality-wise to us going on and win the league after this.
Absolutely. That Nathan Ake winner, a huge moment, like you said, at a time when both the sides were going for Cup and League, and you know we had to play them in quite quick succession as well. So it was really sort of one of those turning points of, you know, who can get the upper hand in both those competitions. And I think a lot of City fans will look back and put that down as one of maybe the defining moments of who went on to then progress in, obviously, the Cup, but then also towards the league title as well. Yeah, brilliant finish, sublime finish. You mentioned, you know, having to overcome the big teams. We've seen a couple of the FA Cup ties already, particularly ones that have been two Premier League teams. How important would it to get a big win numbers-wise, you know, a big scoreline, and really have that confidence and that sort of marked down for them when other teams look at, oh, they've come through in the last round, and the last time we played Huddersfield 6-1,
I don't think it's, you know, I don't think the statement of the result, you know, is because the statements have been made now for on so many occasions. You know, I think it goes before City now when they turn up. Teams know what's coming, and it's about getting the job done. And you know, it's interesting looking at that, and also, you know, the Champions League, the path that we had, the quality of the opposition. There was no easy route. And to do Chelsea and Arsenal who were flying at that time, you know, and then you'd say it got slightly easier, you know, to the semi when we had the hat-trick, which set up for the most incredible final. You know, and Pep spoke about it this week, hasn't he, the importance of that, you know, to actually create the treble. You know, that was so pivotal, and I don't know how the players thought about that. You know, yes, we want to win the FA Cup. We also want to beat, you know, our local rivals in Manchester United, but also, you know, it then keeps the treble going.
I was just finishing off my glass of wine at this point.
See, I love that little assist there, because we talk about the quality of the passes and the creation, but the actual way he's jumped in this as a defender to keep the ball alive for Gundogan is sometimes overlooked. Huge. What a moment. What a moment.
That was a perfect day out, wasn't it? It doesn't get much better than that.
And it was the build-up to it as well, because obviously we've won the league. People are talking about the Champions League final. All United fans that I knew were speaking about how they're going to stop us doing the treble. They would not shut up about it. I didn't hear from many of them after the game, funnily enough. They'd all turned their phones off, which was great. But that is an unbelievable strike so early in the game. So controlled. He knows exactly where he's putting it. But yeah, that sounds... Istanbul was great, winning that final was great, but that was a special moment for me. Going to the final, winning the double, beating Manchester United and shutting them all up at the same time.
I was going to say, you can see them behind the goal with the bucket hats, can't you? There was a lot of talking points around those bucket hats. You can see them fairly silent behind that goal, and then obviously to, you know, United drew level, and then to get the winner and really make it, you know, cherry on top, but then also, like you said, set up a brilliant run and the hype before the Champions League final. It was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and Gundogan, you know, again, we were speaking earlier, weren't we? I think, you know, we were speaking about Mahrez. Sometimes it does take when a player actually moves on and you actually reflect and you just think the impact that they had and the legacy they left, and, you know, what he actually did last year, the goals he scored.
The season before as well.
Oh, incredible, incredible. And, you know, to get the second one as well. And they were both similar in their, you know, there were second phases, knockdowns, and, you know, for all the magic and the play and the possession, you know, to get 2 goals in that way, direct, second ball, bang, and then the similar in the second goal was just magical.
I think there's a lot of pressure on the players that game as well.
Absolutely,
you know,
which I don't think we understand.
The Champions League, because we hadn't won it before, we hadn't, and for them to be able to be as focused as they were on that one game, and I think because it was United, it probably made it a little bit easier for them.
Yeah. In some ways, David, it must have been so difficult, you know, especially for the fans as well. You know, my son, my daughters are City fans, and, you know, there's a lot of fans around, but the impact that would have had of stopping the treble by Manchester United, so for them to overcome that as well, it's a remarkable achievement.
Would you mark that down as then one of the points, obviously, clearly, as in the title, one of the points that then won the treble, but the impact that then that had on winning the Champions League?
I think it would have been really difficult not to pick themselves up such a Champions League final, but I think if they had lost that, when all the talk was about the treble, all the talk was about Man United stopping us, Man United have won the treble, I think it would have been mentally very hard for them to pick themselves up again. I think because they won the game, you know, on the Saturday, the Sunday, and the Monday, Tuesday, when they're flying out to Istanbul, they've got such a buzz about them, knowing that they've already, that was out the way, if anything.
Yeah.
Because it was a challenging game as well, you know, when we look at the Champions League final, just 1 goal separating it, and, you know, it was one of those games that was, it's tough to call which way it would go, you know, there was a lot of individual battles where you were like, I don't know which way this is going to go, and obviously we sat there very, very hopeful, and we had that confidence, but like you say, a knock of confidence the week before could have really done some damage.
And focusing on that game as well, because, you know, the week leading up to the FA Cup final, a lot of media outlets were actually still talking about the Champions League. So for the players to be able to focus on that one game, knowing what was ahead of them, just shows you the winning mentality they've got and how strong they are. You know, we know how good players they are. We all know how technically good they are and world class this and that. But it's the mentality that they've got to be able to take that one game at a time and block everything else out.
Well, let's take a look at our second clue for Mystery Blue today. You might have seen the first one just before the show started. Here is the first clue. This Mystery Blue won the FA Cup twice, as well as the equivalent in his homeland. The number, if you've got it based off the first clue, kudos to you, is down at the bottom of the screen. And an anagram of this Mystery Blue's name is Dunking La Yoga. Oh, have you got it? Oh, Paul Dickov has got it. Keep that in your head. If you have got it,
I like
Paul Dickov, do you know what? Get your phone out. There's the number.
Yeah.
Text it. Send a WhatsApp to the number down there.
What do I win?
What do we win?
Yeah, what do we win?
For you, the only prize is pride.
Oh, there you go.
A pat on the back. Do you know what? I'll get my pen back out, and Andy, we'll go and get a programme, and Andy will sign it for you. So if you think you've got that, do send us a WhatsApp. Me and Andy will keep thinking that one over.
I've got it.
You've got it? Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Don't lie,
just me. I'll keep mulling that one over, and we can continue reminiscing over last year's FA Cup success with some of our fans down in the South Stand Star. They are down there with FG and Big Steve.
Yes, here we are in the South Stand. We are joined by Manchester City fan Darren Page. Darren, first things first, the magic of the FA Cup, does it still exist?
Definitely for me, it's like the first trophy I've seen us win at 25 years of age, so 100% for me.
Darren, your FA Cup memories, what's the first memory you think about when you think the FA Cup, good or bad?
I mean, there's been good, bad. I mean, my worst FA Cup memory was when West Ham put us out here, that was my first quarter-final with City. I thought, definitely all the way this year, and then West Ham was just, took me a long time to get over that. As for best memory, I mean, it was close with last year, but to me it's got to be like the semi-final against United and then winning it against Stoke as well. It's again first trophy at 25 years of age, so.
And we haven't looked back since. It all started with the FA Cup at Wembley. Darren, thank you for speaking to us. Let's go and find some more fans.
Let's go.
We're joined by City fan Gary. Gary, first question. It's FA Cup weekend. The magic of the FA Cup, it still exists for City fans, doesn't it?
Yeah, of course it does. Obviously, it's changed last couple of years with the money and Champions League, everything else, Premier League. But under this regime, the FA Cup was the first one. Under Mancini, against Stoke, beating Etihad in the semi-final. Yeah. Both great days. So yeah, of course it does, yeah.
Can I ask Ingrid, what's your favourite memory of the FA Cup?
The FA Cup, well, I don't really know. There's so many. One of my favourites was the other cup where we had to swap the goalie.
Oh yeah, remember that.
Well,
Chelsea.
they should have swapped the goalie, but he wouldn't get out of the goal, and I was so glad because he was our ex-player. So, and he was good at penalties.
What about you, Marge? Your favourite FA Cup memory?
Like Ingrid said, there's just so many, yeah. But I enjoyed that one last year. Yeah, I felt we needed to win that one. Yeah,
we needed to do it.
Yeah.
I'm actually really glad that Willie Caballero didn't come on in that Carabao Cup against Chelsea.
I was a bit worried about that as well.
I was thrilled.
Let's get your score predictions before we head back to the studio. We're playing against Huddersfield today. What do you think the score will be?
5-1.
What about your score prediction?
4-0.
5-1, 4-0. Big Steve?
4-0 as well.
Well, I mean, it'd be rude not to. I'll say 4-0 as well. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up with you and the City fans in the South Stand. Let's head back to the studio where Ellen is there.
Well, if it is going to be a high-scoring game, you'd have your money on Phil Foden being on the score sheet. He had an incredible end to the year. 3 goals, 3 assists in December. Was player of the match for Etihad. Just how good was he in December?
Yeah, he's been magnificent. For a long time, I don't even think it's like saying he's stepped up, because it's the same every single, for weeks, months, seasons now. Yeah. You know, it's been, so he's getting the plaudits at the minute because the goals are coming, and it seems to have been a lot of the man of the match performances that he's been involved in have been live games, so he's at the forefront at the minute. But he's been playing so well for a long period of time. It's just, at the minute, he's producing, there's assists, he's scoring goals, and I think he's the form player in the Premier League at this moment in time.
And I don't think he gets spoken about enough, just how good he is, and as Andy said, it's not just December that he's done it, he's been doing it for a long, long time, and I think he's really relishing playing in that central role rather than. He was fantastic when he was out wide, but now he's involved so much. I've never seen a player take the ball in the half turn as comfortable and as natural as he does, and people are saying he's adding goals and assists. He's always had that. He's always chucked in with assists and goals since he's been in the team. And people, I seen a mad stat the other day there that if it's true, it's a good one, that he's won a trophy every 15 games that he's played in his career, which is just unbelievable. And he's 22 years old. Yeah. Every 15 games he's won a trophy.
I remember 5 or 6 years ago, Pep actually speaking about him and saying how he will evolve into, Xavi and Iniesta, into that role where he'll dictate the game more so than playing out wide, where he has fleeting moments, and you can see his quality. And we're beginning to see that now, because when he does come inside, he just grabs the game by the scruff of the neck, and actually is the difference in. Well, the last 3 or 4 games that have been important, he's played the major part. That's been the difference that has created the moments to go on and win the game.
I think he's been outstanding for me for the last couple of seasons. He really has stepped up. But I think because we've had an Erling Haaland in the team and a Kevin De Bruyne in the team, they're the ones that tend to. The focus is always around them in the media and with the fans, and he's sort of under the radar a little bit. Now that they're not in the team, people are seeing exactly what he can do.
Absolutely. We talk about players taking their chances to step up. We talk about that a lot with the EDS players. Obviously, he's come through that programme, and he has stepped up while Haaland and KDB have been out. He's taken his moment to shine. What more does he have to do to get the plaudits?
Yeah, I know, but I think he'll be quite happy if he doesn't get the plaudits or not. The players will be the same. They just want to go out there and be the best they can. And for me, Phil is. He's been at that level. People keep talking, when's he going to hit the next level? When's he going to hit the next level? For me, he's been there for a couple of years. And you can tell, I'll never ever forget, and it's something that will stick in my mind, when he was 16 and he'd just been called into the first team, and I was lucky enough to watch them training. And I'd seen Phil in the academy, and everybody was talking about him being in the first team squad. And after 20 minutes of the first training session, I was like, wow. You had David Silva, you had De Bruyne, you had Vincent Kompany, you had Kevin De Bruyne, Sergio Aguero, and they just kept giving him the ball. they just kept giving the ball as a 16-year-old. And I've been there, and you've been there for a young kid, and you go into first team training, and they don't trust you, they don't give you the ball. They look at you and they think, nah, he's going to give it away, and they go somewhere else. But every time they got the ball, they gave it to Phil Foden as a 16-year-old, and I thought that was something that stood out massive at such a young age, the respect that he had from his teammates.
Must be such an inspiration. We've already spoken about it for the academy players currently in the EDS when they look at him absolutely smashing it, stepping up. You know, when we're missing goal scorers, he's stepping up and filling in the gap. That must be such an inspiration for them.
Absolutely, but I don't think it should be lost that Phil Foden is a generational talent.
Yeah.
This is not just another player that's coming in, and time will tell, you know, where Rico goes and Oscar Bob. But you know, this is a generational talent that don't come along every season. You know, you try and find maybe one player that come through, and then whatever happens, they'll stay, drift away, wherever. You know, this is a world-class talent, and they're few and far between. Somebody as talented as Phil Foden.
Well, hopefully we'll see him on the score sheet today. Like we said, if it is going to be a high-scoring game, I'd be very surprised if we don't see him make an impact. It was a very high-scoring game. The last time we beat Huddersfield for a third game in a row, the game finished 10-1 with 3 hat-tricks in the City team. One of them was David White, and FG and Big Steve are speaking to him now.
Yes, thank you, Ellen. Joining me and Big Steve is Manchester City legend David White, a man who's got more appearances than Pablo Zabaleta, one more goal than Gabriel Jesus, and the same amount of goals as Kevin De Bruyne. We are absolutely delighted for you to join us on Matchday Live. How are you feeling? It's FA Cup weekend.
Excited. It's nice you put him in the same bracket as Kevin De Bruyne. I'll take that for sure. No, it's a great day. The weather's nice, and we're looking forward to the game.
Now, there's one game that stands out, and it is another time Manchester City played against Huddersfield in 1987, and it was 10-1. What do you remember about that day?
It's a really memorable day. You know something? It's I'm pretty sure I'm right in saying it's 36 years ago, but it's also the last time any team in the sort of professional football in England, I think even FA Cups and Cups, scored 10 goals. So I'm privileged and proud to have scored the last ever 10th goal.
Steve, explain to me what David White was like as a player.
Obviously, growing up, he was my first hero. You know what I mean? At Main Road, watching him run down the wing, David White, yeah, Niall Quinn. But it was the first game, and seen him score 4 goals at Villa Park. I think David Platt scored for them, wearing the white kit, coming home in the Rascal van. I was like, unbelievable. Going to school the next morning, you know what I mean? I was a bit weary-eyed, but David White had scored 4. I mean, at Main Road, David, so many good memories of David running down that wing and, you know, in front of that Kipax, and I was just gutted when we sold him.
Well, David, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we head back, we might see Kevin De Bruyne today, hopefully. How long do you think it'll be until he breaks your goal-scoring tally?
I think he's already done it, in all honesty. By my reckoning, I mean, I scored 96. Biggest regret of my life was leaving the football club before I'd been able to get to 100 goals. Although the way I was playing at the time, it probably took me until about now. But I know I remember the night he equalled it last year, and it was an honour to think that a player of his calibre. I know he's, you know, I wouldn't for 1 minute suggest I'm anywhere near the quality of him, but to just be in the same bracket in terms of goals is brilliant. It's not bad company to be keeping. So he'll if he's not already past it, he will be very, very soon. I'm sure we've still got some great times with De Bruyne, and obviously for him to be able to come back at this season that's looking really, really tight now. I think it's going to be, hopefully it'll be just us and Liverpool, and we can say goodbye to the rest of those teams that are around about us. But to think you've got a player of his quality to come back and for that final push into the second half of the season, when we're always strong anyway, he's going to be incredible. So, you know, if he hasn't already gone past me, then I'd be delighted when he does that.
Well, we've been absolutely delighted to speak to you. Thank you so much from David White and not so Big Steve. Let's head back to the studio.
What a legend. How much would we love a 10-1 win today? That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? We have been taking some of your WhatsApp questions. We are going to ping them up on the big screen. Arthur has asked, do you think Jeremy Doku is the best winger in the world right now?
I think he's been out for a few weeks, you know. But I think going into that injury that he picked up, which at the time didn't really look, you know, he walked off the pitch and took him out for a month. I thought he was unstoppable and at times unplayable in one-on-one situations, and it's kind of like a dying breed because the opposition now can double up so quickly. But he's that quick, and his intent is to always take you on and ask a question of you. So I think when he picked up the injury, I don't think there was anybody that was more frightening or threatening than he was at that time.
I think he deserves a lot of credit as well. You know, I think he's come in and he's still 22 years old. He's a young boy, and it's historically quite difficult for players to come in and settle straight away. And I think for somebody so young, and the way he's come in and how direct he's been, and how he has tailored his game a little bit to how Pep wants to do. You know, he says he's constantly talking to Pep about what he wants. But as in one-on-one, I don't think there's been anybody better at the start of the season.
I have to agree.
He must be an absolute nightmare to play against. Could you imagine being one-on-one?
Up next, who is the best City defender in your opinion? Go with our defender on the panel first.
There's so many, and they're all consistent. You know, Diaz last season came to the fore. Akanji, I wouldn't put any defender in the Premier League in a one-on-one situation ahead of Akanji. He's that powerful and strong. But for me, Aki, over the last 18 months, is like there's just a reassurance. I don't know what it is, but you know, as a manager and a player, when I see the team sheet and I see him on it, there's just we'll be safe down the left-hand side. Nobody will run us. We won't. And I think the best accolade he got last year was when we played Arsenal, the way he nullified Saka, who at that time was ripping teams to bits, and Aki just put him to sleep in every game. It'd be interesting to speak to him and see whether he's humble enough, Saka, to actually say, I struggle against him. I'm not sure how he defends, but he's very, very difficult to beat. He never switches off. He doesn't get too high up the pitch, so he's always in a good starting position, and he's an exceptional defender.
I think Ake as well for me. I mean, I think if you speak to Jack Grealish, his form for the second half of the season, he'll openly admit a lot of it is because of the reassurance of having Nathan Ake behind him. He said maybe sometimes with Cancelo, he would get the ball and he would bomb forward and he would be that scared to lose the ball because he knew nobody was behind him. He said, but Nathan Ake said that he knew the ball would go to Nathan, the first thing he would do would give it to me and I had the confidence in to go and do what I was going to do, because if I did lose it, I knew I was fine because Nathan Ake was there to cover me going back. And I just think he's been outstanding. You know, difficult time when he first came in, didn't always play injuries, but last season and this season I don't like the word Mr. Reliable. For what you get.
Because it's more than that, but I know what you mean.
He's been outstanding, he really has.
He was one of my players of the season last year, and like you say, it's just that confidence with when he's tracking back, when the ball is, you know, maybe in dangerous positions in front of our goal. If he's there, you're like, it's fine. The way he can contort his body, he's not afraid to go in and make those clearances and those tackles. He's brilliant.
And it's a rarity these days, and I know Andy will agree with me, and Ruben Diaz is very similar. Is first and foremost they want to defend. You know, defenders nowadays, they want to play out from the back, they want to step in and be that pivot in midfield, but first and foremost, Ruben and especially Nathan, they want to defend first and foremost and then take it from them.
Yeah, great defender. I'm not sure if we've got one more question. Do you think De Bruyne will get any minutes today? That is from Sam and Sophie.
I hope so. We've just been talking about it on camera there. I genuinely hope so. You know, I know there was probably the biggest cheer.
It was wonderful, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was really unbelievable when he warmed up. And he would have been slightly disappointed if he didn't get in the pitch after that as well. But I think today, looking ahead, you know, Newcastle away is going to be a tough game as well. If he's going to have any involvement in that, I think he'll have to get some minutes at some point, whether it's 20 minutes, half an hour, 10 minutes, just to get him back out in the pitch would be an absolute joy.
Well, we would love to see him back on the pitch, and we are saying another welcome return to City legend and former captain Richard Dunn, who returns to the Matchday Live squad today. You'll be seeing plenty of him over the next couple of months as well. Today he joins Alistair Mann on commentary, and we can get his thoughts with FG ahead of the kickoff.
He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. It's Richard Dunn. Welcome to Matchday Live. Thank you for joining us. We're here beside the FA Cup trophy. First things first, the magic of the FA Cup. Let's talk about that in your perspective.
Yeah, I love the FA Cup. Growing up in Ireland, it was the one game that you knew would be on the TV. Come January, you're always waiting for it. The chances of a joint killing and upsets, and I think everyone loves it, the tradition of it, the whole thing is there. And I know people have said it's lost a bit of its glory over time, but for a certain generation, it certainly hasn't.
What about your memories of the Manchester City shirt in the FA Cup?
Oh, not great, probably. I remember we lost to Oldham in a third round game. We obviously had that game against Spurs where we were 4-0 down and got ourselves back into it. And yeah, but it wasn't one of our strongest competitions at the time. It was just a case more about surviving in the league than winning trophies.
Now, Richard Dunn, Pep Guardiola's won a lot of trophies, but what you probably don't realise is this man has so many Thomas Cook trophies. What do you remember about the Thomas Cook trophy?
I remember it was always sunny and it was always warm. That's about it. I don't even think we got a medal for it. It was just the case of somebody got a trophy and took it home, and that was the end of it.
And you also won at the Nou Camp in a City shirt, Martin Petrov, that day. That was a special day as well.
It was, yeah. It was a tough day. It was, again, playing against Pep's team. So you're on the receiving end of what he can do and what he's shown here, but somehow we managed to scrape a victory.
Now let's talk about Manchester City, the club as it is today. Of course, you are a massive part of the club's history. You always will be. But this club now is just so different to the times that you were here, and they're just an incredible football club, aren't they?
It's amazing, yeah, and it's brilliant to be able to watch it, the style of football, how Pep sort of revolutionised English football. Everyone's trying to follow what he's doing, and we used to come into the third round of the FA Cup hoping that we could maybe get through and see what happens in the next round, whereas you're coming today thinking, well, they'll win today, and the likelihood is they'll probably go on and win the competition. So he's changed the belief and the outlook for all the fans and all the supporters, and yeah, it's an amazing place and a great team to watch.
What do you think the score's going to be today?
Today, hopefully 4 or 5-0. I think the team's strong, some exciting players up front, and yeah, they should have too much for Huddersfield, and I can't see them being able to withstand the attack that City have.
And finally, you're back at the Etihad for first time in quite a while, I'd say. How good is it to be back home?
It's brilliant. It's a great place, like I say. I love being here, and certainly the third round of the FA Cup's one of the biggest days in the football calendar. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm absolutely delighted to be stood here pitchside with you. Thank you so much for joining us on Matchday Live. Let's head back to the studio.
Well, some words of confidence there from one of our former captains. We'll get the score predictions of our studio panel in just a minute. We'll run you through the team. You can see it at the bottom of your screen there. Stefan Ortega in goal, Manuel Akanji, Ruben Dias is our captain today, Josko Gvardiol, Sergio Gomez, Rico Lewis, Mateo Kovacic, Oscar Bob, someone we're very excited about, Phil Foden, who we've been speaking about and lamenting about a lot today, Jack Grealish and Julian Alvarez. Who are you most excited out of that starting 11 to see today?
I just want Phil to carry on with the form he's in. And I know that, you know, if he can find them pockets of space, we keep finding him, you know, he'll produce the opportunities. And but it's a collective, you know, there's you know, Oscar Bob's come in, and I want to see him starting in a game. I'm watching, you know, because I think there's so much more to come from him. Yeah. You know, I still think the reins are on a little bit. I think when we unleash him, I think he's a player that could tear teams to shreds. I really do.
Exciting, that, the idea of an unleashed Oscar Bob.
Yeah, it is, and it's Andy was saying before, sometimes it can be difficult for a young player to come into this team because, you know, they want to play in a certain way and maybe they take the safe option sometimes. But as Andy said, I think there's another level for them to go up, and I'm looking forward to the front three. You know, Jack, Oscar, obviously Julian, and with Phil in that pocket in behind them. I think that's as strong as any team could be. And you know, Huddersfield, I don't think it's any secret they're going to defend as deep as they possibly can. They'll 5 at the back, probably a 5-5.
But being a cup game, Dickie, at what point do they say there's 2-0? Let's go on. When?
Yeah.
You know, like with the last game, I was really disappointed. They kept trying to keep the score down as long as they could. Where this game is a cup game, go and express yourself, go and play, which will leave you open to get in a.
I would like to think that Darren's going to say, look, not to go out and enjoy yourself, because you said before it's difficult, but at least go out and have a go.
Yeah.
Go out there and have a go, and when you come off that pitch, don't leave anything out there. And as you said, go back over the Pennines, knowing that you've given everything you've got, and then you can be proud of yourself, regardless of what the result is.
A word on the bench as well for two of our youngsters, Jacob Wright, 18-year-old in the matchday squad for the first time. Mike Hamilton as well, someone who we've seen quite a lot of in recent weeks, particularly after that performance in the Champions League. Could be a big opportunity for those two as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic that they're involved, and they're not just there to make up the numbers either. You know, and in Belgrade, everybody was thinking Michael was in the squad, he might get in the bench just because there was injuries and he started, got his goal and done really well. And you know, repeating ourselves from before, what that does, it gives the whole academy the boost, not just the ones in the 23s or the 18s, but the 14s, 15s, 16-year-olds looking that there is a pathway into the first team. We might have all these wonderful players, we might have won all these trophies, but if you do things right and you catch your manager's eye, you've always got a chance, and it's great for the club and the fans.
Quick score predictions before we hand over to our commentary team.
I don't want to go too high. I don't think it's going to be. I'll stick with Donny. I'll go 5-0.
5-0.
Andy doesn't like giving predictions.
If I had some minerals about me, I would go for 8.
8-0.
But I'm not going to.
Oh well.
I'm going 5-0.
5-0. But I bet if it does end up 8-0, you'll be rolling this tape back. You'll be rolling this tape back. Well, the players are readying themselves in the tunnel. It's time to hand over to our commentary team of our former captain, Richard Dunn, and he is alongside Alistair Mann.
Well, thank you, Ellen. So the Blues begin the defence of the FA Cup. They won as the second part of that historic treble last June. A never-to-be-forgotten day at Wembley.